wartawan yang datang untuk buat liputan, yang datang untuk memberi sokongan kepada ahli-ahli politik dan aktivis-aktivis, kepada wakil DHI, Datuk-Datuk ya, yang hadir bersama menyatakan sokongan dukungan kepada program ini. Program ini dianjurkan secara impromptu, dan yang paling menarik dari perkembangan ini ialah sebahagian besar daripada kumpulan kecil wartawan ini ialah anak muda. 80% lebih terdiri kepada wartawan-wartawan portal berita anak muda. Kalau saya terasa terpegang gemuruh untuk mereka. Dari teman-teman dari Malaysia ini, daripada Malaysia Insider, daripada DN Daily, daripada FZ, dan juga sokongan moral dekat dan jauh dari portal Roket Kini, daripada Berita Keadilan, daripada Sinar Harian, dan berapa lagi, daripada Asrawani, ya, secara zahir ataupun tidak zahir. Tetapi semua ini memberi sokongan dan dukungan kepada kami. Kalau saya dianggap sebahagian daripada anggota gerakan media marah, saya di antara orang paling tua lah. Walaupun nombor 45 tapi dah tua. Saudara-saudari sekalian, penggantungan DHI ini agak mencabar bagi kita, khususnya bagi penganjur, untuk memaklumkan kepada publik, kepada orang awam, kepada saudara-saudari, kerana DHI bukannya harian metro, bukannya harakah yang sudah established dengan ribuan, bahkan kalau dalam kes metro ratusan ribu pembaca. DHI baru menemui kita dalam 13-14 edisi, betul? Ya. Masuk je dalam tempoh 3 bulan lebih. Tetapi tindakan memberikan surat tunjuk sebab, memberikan penggantungan minggu lepas sangat mengejutkan. Dan inilah punca teman-teman yang muda ini berkumpul, berbincang untuk mengadakan kempen dan juga protes bagi menyatakan sikap kita, teman-teman jurnalis, teman-teman wartawan, teman-teman media terhadap pihak berkenaan. Saya masih ingat waktu awal-awal diplomasi dulu, tahun 2000, selepas Pilihan Raya Umum 1989 November, beberapa penerbitan diharamkan. Jadi peristiwa DHI ini mengingatkan saya kembali period itu, yang saya rasa sangat mencabar dan secara peribadi sangat melukakan. Saya ulang sedikit sejarah untuk anak-anak muda yang barangkali tidak sempat mengikuti peristiwa dan saat itu, kegetiran itu secara dekat. Saudara-saudari, tuan-tuan, puan-puan mungkin membacanya sebahagian daripada rakaman sejarah. Selepas Pilihan Raya 99, antara korban pertama, penerbitan pertama yang menjadi korban di tangan Kementerian Dalam Negeri DDN adalah Detik, majalah politik yang diusahakan antaranya oleh Ahmad Lutfi Osman. Dia bercadang untuk hadir di sini, ada deadline malam ini untuk harakah, dan juga saya sendiri. Kemudian diikuti dengan harakah yang telah batasi permitnya daripada 8 kali sebulan, 2 kali seminggu maksudnya, kepada 2 kali sebulan. Diikuti kemudiannya oleh eksklusif pada April. Harakah March, April, eksklusif. Eksklusif ni saudara-saudari boleh bayangkan Sinar Harian sekarang. Dan penerbitnya pun memang penerbit Sinar Harian Karangkap. Penerbit yang sama yang pernah mengoperasikan ataupun menerbitkan Watan tahun 87 yang diharamkan dalam operasi Lala. Jadi eksklusif waktu itu mingguan politik yang menyampaikan resah gelisah masyarakat dalam period reformasi 98 dia tak sempat, 99 dan tahun 2000 diharamkan dengan alasan tidak diperbarui publik. Dan alasan penerbitan itu kerana melanggar syarat. Jadi sewaktu kita mendengar alasan teknikal ini kepada DHID, kita tahu inilah biasanya taktik yang digunakan oleh KDI. Ini semua bullshit. Secara terus terang begitu. Saudara sekali tanya siapa yang pernah berhubungan dalam soal permit, dalam soal syarat-syarat penerbitan, dalam apa penerbitan pun, baik akhbar harian, baik majalah, kita tahu alasan-alasan yang remeh ini. Dan bagi kita permit penerbitan perlu dihapuskan. Tidak ada alasan untuk kita mengekalkan permit. News portal seperti Malaysia kini sudah beroperasi 14 tahun tanpa permit. Kita boleh diseret ke mahkamah, kita boleh disiasat polis, kita boleh disaman. Malah ada saman terbaru daripada orang besar Malaysia kemungkinannya untuk Malaysia kini. Dan saya dengar untuk insider juga. Oleh kerana ini belum kita umumkan lagi, kita tak umumkan lagi lah. Tapi saya beri satu clue, iaitu berkenaan Pulau Batu Putih. Kita boleh menerima langganan dari pembaca dalam kes Malaysia kini. Dalam kes beberapa portal yang lain kita boleh menerima dan mendapatkan iklan. Maksudnya kita boleh beroperasi tanpa apa-apa masalah. Kita boleh beroperasi dengan beretika dan bertanggungjawab dan bebas walaupun tanpa permit. Jadi alasan untuk mewajibkan lagi permit penerbitan bagi akhbar, majalah dan penerbitan-penerbitan yang berkala yang lain periodikal adalah alasan remeh semata-mata. Barangkali benarlah tuduhan kita selama ini bahawa permit penerbitan digunakan oleh pihak berwajib, oleh kerajaan, oleh kementerian untuk mengawal behavior dan mindset pengamal-pengamal. Dan saya dengar di kalangan pengamal-pengamal media arus perdana harian juga mereka berdepan dengan masalah-masalah remeh yang dipaksakan oleh Kementerian Dalam Negeri. Jadi kehadiran saudara-saudari sekalian, teman-teman wartawan, teman-teman aktivis, ahli politik, pensyarah, penulis kolom, penulis bebas adalah satu perhimpunan yang bersejarah. Pada tahun 99, sewaktu kita berdepan dengan gejala itu, ada beberapa inisiatif didirikan. Yang didirikan bagi pihak Pakatan Pembangkang Barisan Alternatif pada waktu itu, antaranya teman kita ada Zuna di luar dan arwah Rustam Sani menggerakkan kempen boycott media. Luffy dan saya agak keberatan kerana kita tidak rasa selesa untuk menyuruh boycott kepada teman-teman wartawan yang sendiri. Kita membuatkan kumpulan aktivis media independen, secara ringkasnya kami. Kemudian ada beberapa inisiatif lain, termasuk inisiatif wartawan, kemudian sewaktu NAI yang diambil alih oleh MCA, adanya WAMI ditubuhkan, kemudian sekarang ada CIJ. Ini inisiatif yang telah kita usahakan sepanjang 15 tahun yang lalu. Pada umumnya, walau bagaimana buruknya dan celaan yang dikenakan kepada media dan wartawan di Malaysia, dalam sejarah kita akan sentiasa ada benih-benih perjuangan semangat wartawan-wartawan ini. Jadi pada hari ini suatu geram ditubuhkan, inilah benih baru yang dilahirkan akibat penggantungan diri. Dan kita harap daripada benih ini akan tumbuh lagi semangat yang lebih besar untuk menyatakan kepada umum, kepada orang ramai, kepada pihak berwajib, kepada ahli-ahli politik, kepada civil society bahawa wartawan tidak sanggup lagi, tidak bersedia lagi untuk berdiam diri. Hidup media, hidup DHID, hidup media. Terima kasih. Kita sampai melengahkan masa. Saya secara ringkas memaklumkan bagi pihak teman-teman muda ini yang sebahagiannya barangkali tidak mahu nama dan imej dipaparkan kepada umum. Jadi kita masih ada lagi satu senario seperti itu, dan ini tidak ganjil dalam sejarah negara yang separuh demokrasi. Ini mengingatkan saya pada peristiwa teman-teman 20 tahun lalu di Jakarta, Indonesia, sewaktu 3 penerbitan, editor, Detik dan Tempo diharamkan. Bagaimana kurang lebih 100 wartawan berkumpul protes seperti ini, hanya tidak sampai separuh yang menurunkan tanda tangan dalam deklarasi Sinakali. Ini peristiwa 94-95 di Indonesia beberapa tahun sebelum jatuhnya Soeharto. Jadi kita boleh paham sekiranya teman-teman dari berbagai organisasi, perdana ataupun supporter tidak bersedia menyatakan sokongan secara terbuka. Tapi dalam pengalaman kita, berkenalan dengan mereka, baik editor, baik penyunting, baik wartawan muda dan wartawan senior, semua mereka umumnya bersetuju dengan semangat kebebasan ini. Ini dapat dibuktikan secara sekalian, karena kita tahu di kalangan masyarakat kita ada orang yang mencemooh, mereka yang bekerja dengan berita harian, bekerja dengan TV3, bekerja. Tapi bagi kita geram, kita bekerja sama dan mendukung semua teman-teman media. Ini dapat dibuktikan sewaktu Sohakam dan juga kerajaan cuba menubuhkan majlis media council. Lama dulu dalam 2021, tetapi sebahagian besar wartawan termasuk NUJ, termasuk kawan-kawan di mainstream tidak bersetuju. Jadi itu menandakan ada kata sepakat sebetulnya kesedaran di kalangan pengamal media, baik yang utama ataupun yang baru ditubuhkan, portal-portal alternatif ini, kalau istilahnya alternatif, untuk tidak lagi menambahkan kekangan kepada kebebasan yang sedia ada. Untuk meringkaskan cerita, hampir pukul 9, kita mulakan lebih kurang pukul 9. Saudara kita, Zulkifli Sulong, editor di Malaysian Insider, tak dapat hadir bersama kita kerana dia tidak sihat. Dia ni orang lama dengan harakah cetak. Waktu reformasi, dia di antara orang yang memimpin harakah daripada tak sampai banyak menjadi 360,000, dan orang yang pertama juga diseret ke mahkamah di bawah akta hasutan selepas Pilihan Raya 99. Ini korban kebebasan media waktu Mahathir. Jadi kita gantikan dengan teman kita Zaki Akoya yang batu merah di sini ya, di belakang saya. Dan teman-teman yang lain yang hadir sebagai ahli panel malam ini seperti kita umumkan. Yang pertama Rona Sina, kartunis, penerbit juga. Beliau sekarang ini menerbitkan terbitan tak berkala tanpa permit yang dinamakan Posto. Jadi saya suka orang macam ni yang berani lawan. Ya. Kita ada aktivis media yang kita kenali ramai, Mas Jaliza Hamzah, CIJ, yang akan menamatkan khidmatnya di CIJ dalam tahun ini. Kenanya Mas? Dalam tahun ini, ya. Saya tak pakai spek, tak nampak. Kita ada teman muda Ji Vinod dari Free Malaysia Today. Jadi ada wartawan muda yang berada di pentas ini. Ini wakil semangat daripada orang muda. Wi Ambalagan, kita punya ya tepuk tangan untuk Wi Ambalagan. Sekarang daripada MSC ke Malaysian Insider bekas Susah Agung, NUJ, Kesatuan Wartawan. Kita ada juga Hatta Wahari, bekas Ketua NUJ, dipecat dan keputusan. Kita sampai ke dulu, kita memang lambat, ia berada di Kuantan begitu kurang lebih. Dia maklum pada saya akan lewat. Dan akhir sekali teman saya, editor saya, Stephen Gunn dari Malaysia Kini. Jadi ini pengalaman yang saya rasa rentas pengalaman. Daripada yang muda, daripada yang alternatif, daripada yang berpengalaman. Untuk berkongsi dengan kita, saya rasa dalam lebih kurang sejam, bagaimana pengalaman kita berdepan dengan kebebasan. Bukan saja soal permit yang kita berdepan. Kita berdepan misalnya Malaysia Kini tidak digunakan naik bangunan UMNO. Bukan saja Malaysia Kini, portal-portal berita yang lain. Baru-baru ini apabila Datuk Seri Zahid Hamidi menguasai Kementerian Negeri, tak benarkan pula Malaysia Kini naik ke kementerian. Selepas itu, waktu dia Menteri Pertahanan, tak benarkan kita akses pada Kementerian Pertahanan. Tapi bila Datuk Isyamuddin mengetuai Kementerian Pertahanan, benar tidak masalah. Jadi kita tahulah ini bukan masalah Kementerian Pertahanan, ini masalah karakter Datuk Seri Zahid terhadap Malaysia Kini. Kemudian kita ada masalah misalnya wartawan utusan, wartawan itu tidak diakses kepada parti-parti pakatan, kepada Tun Pulau Pinang. Jadi hal-hal ini harus kita bahas dan berdebat. Saya tidak kata betul atau salah, tetapi kita harus perdebatan kerana teman-teman dari Pakatan Rakyat menyifatkan akbar ini dan media-media seperti ini tidak beretika. Jadi tak perlu. Tapi bagi kita wartawan, sebagai teman wartawan, kita anggap dia sebagai teman wartawan. Jadi sebab itulah dalam kita punya tuntutan 8 yang diedarkan itu, kita menyeru kepada semua pengamal media termasuk diri kita sendiri, kerana kita pun tak boleh mengelak, iaitu untuk stick to ethical journalism, stick to the ethics of journalism. Jadi saya rasa Zakiah ya, tanpa melengahkan masa, saya mengundang Zakiah untuk menjemput semua ahli-ahli panel lain. Terima kasih.
Okey, terima kasih Fatih. Pastinya ramai yang tertunggu-tunggu. I would like to first of all invite the panelists, Stephen Gunn, to take your seat. Let's give them a warm welcome. Vinod, Mas Jaliza Hamza, Kata Wahab is still not here, he'll be with us in a while, and Rona Sina, please come to take your seats. It's quite intimidating to be faced with a room full of reporters when I'm normally there. Okay. I would like to start with a quote from Malcolm X. The media's the most powerful entity on earth. They have the power to make the innocent guilty and to make the guilty innocent. And that's power because they control the mind of the masses. And that's it. Assalamualaikum and a very good evening to all, especially the distinguished panel and the media and the people who have come to support us today. I'm Zakiah Koya, okay? We are gathered here tonight for a most memorable occasion, made possible mainly thanks to the Home Minister and also the Prime Minister's office for the forum of Free the Media, with the theme Dare to Defy, okay, Berani Lawan. I'm going to speak in English and Malay, so it's going to be a very Malaysian affair, okay? We have all been writing and reading between the lines for a very long time now. It's getting quite tiring. And for the first time in so many years, I think it was since Reformasi, that the Malaysian media has come together like this. And the Malaysian media has now decided to take it upon themselves to band together for themselves. So this is a forum by the media, for the media, from the media, and all those who are interested in championing the freedom of the media. Okay, the suspension of the heat is the main catalyst bringing us here together. And tonight we have made the agenda not to talk only on the suspension of the heat for whatever reason that has been given by the Home Ministry and the Prime Minister's office, but also to discuss the shackles of the PPPA and the restrictions on the media and journalists. Okay, I think Fatih has introduced the panelists. I think many of us are very familiar with most of them. Maybe I should just introduce them, give them a brief line of introduction again. We have on my far left is V. Ambalagan of Malaysian Insider, also former NUJ Secretary General. Next to him is Stephen Gunn, I'm sure many of you know him, co-founder of the first Malaysian news portal, Malaysia Kini. Then you have next to him is Rona Sina. He's a famed cartoonist, writer, freelance publisher who dares to defy. And then next to him is Mas Jaliza Hamza. Many of us are very familiar with her also. She is the outgoing CIJ elected officer, and she's also the new treasurer for Bersih. And then you have G. Vinod, very young, just 3 years of experience, very spirited, of Free Malaysia Today. Okay, each panelist will get 10 minutes, 7 to 10 minutes each to have their say. before we open to questions from the floor. So without wasting any more time, I would like to invite V. Ambalagan of Malaysian Insider. You want to come here?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to thank the organizers of Karam for inviting me to the panel here. I was NUJ Secretary General for 4 years, and 6 months ago I left the New Straits Times to join the online media. I have been in the print media for 27 years. So I can tell a lot of stories, especially when I worked in the New Straits Times, especially over the last 2 years when I was the Secretary General. Because when you're working in the print media, you know the Straits Times actually belongs to a party, you know, affiliated to the ruling coalition. And especially when I was the Secretary General of the Union, I have to balance up between struggling for press freedom. At the same time, you have to actually negotiate for salary and for allowances for members. So it is a very difficult task actually. Let me tell you some examples over the last 4 years. Last year, sometime in March, when I was the NUJ General Secretary, we called for an EGN. The reason was actually, we know the 13th general election is going to be a very tough election. So what we did was actually, we wanted to take a stand that the media must be fair in its reporting. That means it must give some coverage to the opposition in the election. So we called the EGN, and it was members unanimously agreed that the NUJ should persuade the print media owners to be fair in their reporting. So what happened was actually we got the approval from members. So I actually, in the capacity as the General Secretary, first went to the. I'll tell you 2 examples. We went to see the management of the New Straits Times. We handed the memorandum. They said, well, we will be very fair. Then we went to the Star. They told the same thing. But come election, you know actually what happened. It is back to square one. And especially in Straits Times, we went one step further. Some of the reporters took the stand that if their stories were actually slanted, they wanted to refuse a byline. But what happened was actually, the editors there began intimidating some of the junior reporters when they said, I don't want a byline for this story. They asked, who told you not to take a byline? And in some cases, without the permission of the reporters, they included a byline. And the reporters couldn't resist. So these are the examples. Another example is actually, you remember during the birthday rally last year, I think a group of reporters were assaulted by the police. And actually the one who actually championed, who highlighted the issues was actually the online media. And in my case, when I issued the statements, most of the statements were only carried by the Chinese press. I think maybe the Star carried a few paragraphs. But we were very fortunate At the time, we had the Malaysian Insider, Malaysia Kini, and Free Malaysia Today. And these are the online media that actually championed the cause of journalists. And I was very lucky, especially last 4 years. Most of my press statements were given prominence by this online media. Can you imagine if we didn't have the online media, we wouldn't know actually what was happening in the media industry. Okay. Now, being the NUJ General Secretary, you see, most of the members of the NUJ, unfortunately, they come from the print media. You don't have actually members from the online media, you don't have members from the radio or TV. So, in an uphill task actually to fight for media freedom through the NUJ. I mean, I'm not going to fault any office bearers. It is very difficult because even the media owners, they don't support you actually. Actually, the support actually comes from the online media. Okay. In view of this, actually, since I joined actually the Malaysian Insider, I feel the time has come actually. The online media journalists to take the initiative to actually start an organization. Maybe we can have a Malaysian online journalist organization, and maybe we can use this organization to struggle for our press freedom. We may come from the online media, but I think the example in the case of the heat, although it affected print media, I think it is the online media that actually championed the cause. So I think that is one area I think the online journalists can play a role. And I think the second is actually maybe this new organization can also educate our members on the press laws so that they become better journalists. And the third thing is actually this organization can actually look into the welfare of members. And finally, I think maybe we can seriously consider having a self-regulated media council, because we have been talking about it. And I remember last year, I attended two or three meetings to set up the media council, where the meeting was held in 18 chambers. Basically, the thrust of it, they want actually the government to lead the council. So we were against it actually. So this I hope that an organization could be formed. Maybe let's give within 100 days, so that we don't talk here but we act over the next 100 days. Thank you.
Okay, seems that Amba is very much stating what seems to be going on for years in NST. This happened way back when I was there in '97 also, so they have not changed much. But I can assure you that inside the fight is going on. Now let me invite Mas Jaliza. Mas, it's your mic.
Thank you very much, Zakia. I'm really excited tonight because at first I thought I went to the wrong forum. I thought this was Parti Socialist Malaysia meeting, but I was wrong. I see so many people in the audience. There's MPs, there's editors, there's managing editors, there's Bar Council President, there's university professors teaching media. There's, all kinds of people and a lot of journalists who are also wearing red, and I think that's a good sign. The last time I see this hall really packed like this and overflowing was when at least 13 journalists got beaten up during Persay. And I think it's a very good indication that I'm not saying that from then until now nothing has happened, but if you're talking about media and about people's interests, in promoting media freedom, then we know that there's a lot of interest. People are fed up. We know what's been happening. We know what the media coverage during the elections were like for various types of media. CIJ ran a huge media monitoring exercise looking at how different media, at least 28 different media cover the elections, and you would see the ones that rank highly in terms of professionalism, in terms of giving balanced coverage to all the parties involved, to all the political actors that are involved, were actually online media as well as Chinese language media. So, and I'm really excited because apart from, say, Stephen and maybe Ronasina or someone like Ronasina, for the first time we have practicing journalists. They may not be from print media, but practicing journalists who are speaking and talking about media freedom in a public forum such as this. It is quite a rare occasion because often, as we know, especially for print media and journalists who work for print media, it is really tough for them to actually publicly state their support for media freedom. Because if they say that, there will be repercussions that happen in the newsroom, as happened in, some of us experienced, those who came from print background experienced that in the 90s when we gang up together and did all kinds of stuff, including getting 800 at least journalists from the mainstream media to sign a petition to ask for the repeal of the Printing Presses and Publications Act. And we can see in 2013, very little has happened. 2012, the PPPA was amended, and we know the amendments were cosmetic. The Prime Minister actually promised that there'll be huge reforms, transformation, talking about political change, political transformation, social changes happening, making Malaysia the model democracy of the world. And we know specifically for Printing Presses and Publications Act, the changes were cosmetic. Because just 1 year later, the same law, which supposedly has been amended to make it better, has not changed anything and actually has been used against the heat. The heat is just one example, as mentioned by Fatih just now, in a series of print media that has fallen under this, cengkaman daripada Home Minister dan daripada Prime Minister juga. So we find that very troubling. The licensing is still there. Yes, there is no need to renew the permit every year, but we all know that to say yes to a license, to agree to a license, to revoke a license, to suspend a license indefinitely, it is still at the pleasure of the Home Minister, and that has to change. We know that now, if your media is suspended, etc., you can challenge it in court. That is actually an amendment that was there before. The provision was there before, and then it was amended. Then it was amended recently in 2012 to allow for that. So it's not as if we've taken a step forward. We've actually took a few steps back and then maybe take one step forward. So that's exactly what happened with the changes in 2012. The printing licenses, in order for you to print a publication, you actually need to run a printing press. For that printing press to run, you need a printing license. And who gives that printing license? It is the Home Minister who gives that printing license. So there are so many things that are wrong. Zunar is in the audience somewhere. His book was banned. How was the book banned? That is also under one of the provisions of the Printing Presses and Publications Act. So if we are talking about just doing away with the permit, doing away with the license, that is not going to be enough. It's not going to be enough because it doesn't just cover print media, it also covers books. It also covers anything that we put that is visual, data, photo, posters. We've seen cartoon books being taken away, on the day of the launch, the writer Zuna was arrested, taken to 8 police stations all over town. So we've seen the way with which the Printing Presses and Publications Act has been used not just on print media, but also on other types of publications. So it is time for that law to go, and the time is not, when is the time? Then now, given that there is a lot of support out there. Very quickly, just now, Amba has mentioned about Bersih. At least 13 cases of different kinds of violations on journalists, all the way from, one journalist was actually in hospital, he's here, his jaw had to be rewired. There were journalists whose memory cards were taken, whose cameras were broken, tripods damaged, people were beaten up, kicked, not by one but by a few journalists, and there's some photos to prove over there. Suhakam has had an inquiry. Suhakam has come up with a report and recommendations in terms of what need to change. NUJ has, when Amba was in NUJ, they also testified there. Only two out of the at least 13 cases that CIJ has recorded, only 2 policemen were charged in court, and they were actually acquitted because they charged the wrong people. If, say, for example, you say the person who beat me up was a young police, if you are called in for the lineup, according to the journalists who were involved, you're being shown a row of old policemen. So you don't have anyone to choose, because these are not the people that probably beat you up. What is wrong here? Where is the accountability of the government to actually say, we believe the media plays a role, there's a very important role it plays, especially in a time like Bersih, where a lot of things are happening, people are being beaten up. Who holds the police accountable? Who holds the government accountable? And that's one of the roles that media plays. It wasn't able to do that. In fact, the right of the journalists to practice the profession professionally were actually violated. And until today, in